All right. Hi. What's up? There's probably nobody watching this right now because the last time I made a video on this channel was over 2 years ago. I've thought about it at various times, thought about getting back to it. And at this point, I think I have the time and the inclination, so here I am. If you've seen any of my previous videos, as you can see, I've lost a lot of weight. And right now, it's early June of 2012. I weigh 123 pounds. I wear a size 2. When I had my gastric bypass operation in 2008, December 30th of 2008, I weighed somewhere between 250 and 260 pounds. I was a size 20, 22. I'd say my highest recorded weight was about 265. But you know, when you're real fat, you don't tend to like to get weighed a whole lot, so that may even be lowballing it a little bit. Anyway, right now, my biggest concern is not losing any more weight. Months ago, I was starving to death, which is so weird, you know. And I began to get a little bit scared, and people at church were getting scared. My husband was getting concerned that I wasn't eating enough, so I've managed to stop losing weight, which is great. Because you know what really did it too? My boobs started to disappear. I mean, they kind of have disappeared, but they started to really, really disappear, and I didn't want that. So that was good motivation, if totally selfish and superficial. So right now I'm just trying to maintain my weight. I'm trying to keep my skin nice and moisturized. I'm trying to drink enough fluids, which is hard for me. I'm trying not to go below 1,000 calories a day. The only way I'm able to do that is through just sheer effort, which again is just so bizarre that I should ever have to think about not eating enough. You know, my entire life up until the surgery, I was always eating too much. So I drink a lot of milk, because remember, milk is a food, not a drink. I drink a lot of milk. I eat a lot of granola bars. They're the low-calorie ones, but I get these little tiny, they're like 100-calorie, you know, variety packs. So every time I go in the kitchen, I eat one. And so that probably is one of the most effective things I've done to stop losing weight. Now, am I pathologically afraid of gaining my weight back? I have my days. I have my days. I absolutely refuse to gain my weight back. I weigh myself at least once a week. If I go above 130, I will be very upset. And so just to try to keep myself, I would like to weigh somewhere between 120 and 125. So last time I weighed myself was 2 or 3 days ago. I was 123, maybe 124. Well on my period, no less. So, pretty happy with that. You know, I got into making videos again, or I'm going to get into making videos again for many reasons, but really, I think the motivating factor, or the one thing that I'm still kind of really upset about, and that's still very hard for me, is reconciling the fact in my head that I let myself get so huge, and also I've been very hurt and disturbed by learning about fat discrimination and learning about the many ways that I was a victim of fat discrimination for over 10 years. And now how people are treating me differently just because of the way I look. So I want to touch on that briefly. You know, I was heavy for most of my life until about 3 years ago. 4 years actually, 3.5, whatever. So I was used to being ignored by men. I was used to people writing me off the moment they met me as being lazy and messy, dirty, dumb, undisciplined, all that stuff. I think a lot of people literally thought that I must have sat in my house all day and just ate. So when you are trying to live your life and you know that there are people, everyone you meet almost, is going to just write you off because of the way you look, it hurts. And I mean, obviously, black people have been dealing with that for years in the United States. So from that perspective, it's been helpful because it's helped me empathize, you know, with other people who have been discriminated against for the same reasons or different reasons. I believe I've already talked about fat discrimination in a previous video, but the last video I made, I believe I was a size 8, maybe a 6. I think I was an 8. So it's, you know, that was 50 pounds ago. Maybe 30. I don't know. Anyway, so now, what bothers me is this. I'm not perceived as being fat or messy or sloppy or dirty or unworthy or ugly anymore. But I am now more likely to be labeled a bitch, to be labeled aggressive, mean, vindictive, superficial, shallow, self-obsessed, narcissistic, selfish. I may have already said selfish. Anyway, so it's really not like the judging has stopped, but the judging has changed. Again, that surprised me. And I think there's many reasons for that. I've really tried to avoid what they call the skinny bitch syndrome, which is people who lose weight, you know, get an attitude. And I know I've fallen into that a bit at times, and I'm trying not to do that. I don't want to be like that. But there is an element of, I don't have to take people's crap anymore. You know, I don't have to be grateful for people treating me like garbage because they believe and I believe that I should just really be ignored. No. I do not have to put up with that at all. And so that has made me more assertive. And there's a fine line between assertiveness and bitchy. I've not always been on the right side of that line. But trying to do better every week. Oh, right. So I was talking to my husband about this, right? My husband is very thin. He's been thin his entire life. I now weigh less than he does, though, by the way, by about 8 pounds, and that's a huge deal for me. But I was trying to talk to him about fat discrimination, because there's somebody who works a few cubes down from him in his office that has just had the surgery, and it's a man, and apparently this man weighs like 500 pounds, or he did weigh like 500 pounds, and now he's about a month out of surgery, and he's already lost 65 pounds, which is amazing, by the way. And so Andrew and I were just talking about fat discrimination, but because Andrew's never been fat, he thinks I'm nuts, right? He's like, oh, this guy's great. He's got a great personality. Everyone loves him because he's so jolly. I'm like, yeah, you know what, though? No. This is going to change. This is going to change. Believing or stereotyping somebody as being fat and happy and jolly is not better than stereotyping them as lazy, mean, and dirty. Okay? Stereotyping is always wrong. Race relations, case in point. Okay? The Southern black mammies, Aunt Jemima, oh, they were cute. Oh, they were matronly. They were motherly. It's still a stereotype based on the way someone looks, and it's wrong. Okay? So, I've got to stop this video in a minute because I have an appointment. I'm sitting here in the parking lot. I'm just going to think this week about how do I play into this? How do I discriminate against people or judge people based on their appearance? How do I treat fat people? How do I treat thin people? How do I treat people with physical disabilities? How do I treat people who are gaining weight? Or on the other end of that, how do I treat people who have eating disorders? You know, is my treatment of them in any way affected by their appearance and my psychological comfort or lack thereof with that? See, one of the things I've noticed is I've always had very poor spatial intelligence. You know, I can't draw to save my life. When I'm driving, the right side, like the passenger front corner of my car, I always feel like I'm going to run it into someone or something because I can't quite see where it is. I can't tell where it is. So this spatial relationships have always challenged me a bit. And one of the most unexpected side effects of this whole surgery thing has been that I can look in the mirror and I can say, oh, that's a thin person now. Cool. But if I'm standing next to someone, let's say that I've known someone for 5 or 10 years, and that person has maybe gained like a small amount of weight, like 10 pounds, 20 pounds. As I've gotten smaller, they appear in my mind's eye to have gotten bigger. So, for example, I was on Facebook the other day and I was just looking up some people that I went to college with who were very thin at the time. And of course, some of them have gained a little bit of weight. They're married, maybe they're, have a kid or two. But I think a lot of this is in my head. Sorry, this sun's really bright. A lot of this is in my head. I guess it's neither here nor there, but I really, I'm only now getting to be comfortable with being around people who are obese. Because it reminds me, if I see someone who's out of control like that, it reminds me of what I did to my body. And it reminds me of that feeling that I was just like on a trolley and couldn't get off and I couldn't change my direction at all. Now, obviously, that perception was not accurate, but it's how I felt. And I don't ever want to feel out of control like that again. Regarding anything, but especially regarding my body. So it's difficult for me to be around people who are overweight. And of course, the more overweight they are, the worse it is for me. Doesn't mean I don't like them. It means I don't like my thought processes around them right now. So, trying very hard to work on that. No, I should say, actually, I am working very hard on it. I'm trying to get better. But, interesting observation. I haven't heard anybody else say that, actually, in the gastric bypass community here on YouTube. I haven't heard anybody else mention that. Doesn't mean it's not the case, but anyway. Alright, I have to get out of the car and go to my appointment. But anyway, I'm back. June 2012. I'm wearing size 2s, sometimes size 0s. I weigh about 123. So for those of you who stuck with me throughout this 2-year hiatus, thank you. And to anyone who is new, thank you for watching my videos. And I hope you have a good day, good night, good weekend, whatever. And I'll be back in a little while. Bye.